Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am your e-recruiter. And once again, I am so excited to have you join us tonight, taking some time out of your evening to join us tonight while we speak about financial aid. Now, before we get started, let me just do a quick reminder of that QR code that you see on your screen. Scan that with your smartphone. It's going to take you over to an exclusive link for our episode of the College Tour. Now, the College Tour is a series that is featured on Amazon Prime, and they have done an entire 30-minute episode just on UC Merced. So if, let's say, for example, if you haven't had an opportunity yet to come over to UC Merced to take a campus tour, this would be a great opportunity for you to get a glimpse from the drone view or in person and walking on campus, the view of our students. This would be a great opportunity for you to be able to get that glimpse into our campus. Also, we have 10 of our current Bobcats, current students who are featured on this episode as well, and they will be sharing their personal insight and stories on how they chose UC Merced, all of their exciting adventures that they've had here. It could be anything from the dining center, sports, academics, internships, research opportunities, social life, living in the dorms and the residence halls, all of those fun things that will happen when you're a student, or if you are the student who's watching tonight, all of those parts of your academic journey here as a Bobcat at UC Merced. So please take a moment, scan that QR code, save that link for later on, grab some popcorn, invite some family and friends over, have a viewing party, and watch our episode of the College Tour. Now, let's go ahead and get started. We'll move on to our intro slide, and I can give you a couple of quick reminders about Zoom. So if you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do that down in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If at any point you need to adjust the size of your window, we have a really jam-packed presentation for you tonight. So if at any time you'd like to zoom into something, click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. You can make those changes there. Lastly, and always most importantly, we are here to get to your questions. So even though we have a very thorough presentation that I hope you pay close attention to, we do still want to get to your specific questions. So go ahead and click on that Q&A button. We are fully staffed. I think this is our biggest virtual event of the year. So we are fully staffed behind the scenes, fast fingers back there to get to all of your questions live there. We will also save a couple of those for the end of our presentation as time allows. But I do want to make special note that we will not be able to get to specific questions. So if you have a question that requires us to actually open up your own personal student record, we won't be able to answer that in much detail tonight. So you'll need to reach out to Financial Aid and the Student First Center. We'll give you some of that information towards the end. However, we are here, and as I said, fully staffed behind the scenes to get to all of your questions as best as we can tonight. Once again, we're so thrilled that you are here for us tonight to join us as we talk about understanding your financial aid letter and everything else that's related to financial aid, a very popular topic. And of course, as always, we are recording this event. So in case you're not able to stick around for the entire hour, or you might have a friend or family member that would like to watch it again later on and pause and check out some of these slides, we will have this available hopefully within a couple of days for you. And we will drop that link for you over into the chat box so you can take a peek and see other virtual events coming up, as well as the on-demand instant replays. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill, your e-recruiter. A very big welcome to you tonight for joining us. And at this time, I would love to hand things over to our main presenter and my friend, Heather Nardello.
Good evening. Thank you, Ricky. My name is Heather Nardello, and I'm the Interim Director in the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships here at UC Merced. And we have a very full presentation with lots of information. So hopefully we'll get all of your questions answered. But as Ricky mentioned, if we don't answer something or we don't answer it maybe quite the way you're expecting, we will share ways that you can connect with us later. We have a long list of topics we're going to cover tonight. Just a few of them. We're going to talk about the financial aid offer and how you can access that information. I will talk a little bit about costs and how you can meet those costs. So the tuition stability plan and how your financial aid is determined. We'll also talk about appeals and some other resources that we have for you and your students. So getting into the financial aid process just a little bit more, at a very high level, what happens is the student will fill out a FAFSA or a CATA application with the state of California. That starts the process of determining your financial aid eligibility. Those applications are available either through federal student aid or through the California Student Aid Commission for 3MAP filers. That information, once the application has been completed and submitted, gets sent to UC Merced electronically. We'll get that information and we will use that to determine your financial aid eligibility. Your application, if you're a FAFSA filer, will also go to the state of California for consideration for the Cal Grant program and the middle class scholarship program. So once that all of that is complete and we've received your application, we'll put together that financial aid offer for you. And we'll let you know if there's any additional information that we need and send a notification to your Connect portal. So information both about your financial aid awards and any additional documentation we might need from you or other requirements to complete your financial aid will be available through the Connect portal at UC Merced. And then the last thing you'll do really is finish those documents, submit them to our office. And our deadline to receive the information that's on a student's checklist is June 1st. And sort of I guess the last piece of the aid cycle or aid process is the disbursement of the financial aid. And what will happen is we will take the awards that you have been given for the 24-25 academic year. We split everything in half because the institution, UC Merced, will bill you by semester, and we'll take half of that financial aid and disperse it to the student's billing account in fall for fall semester. And so that disbursement will happen in August, and then we'll do the same with the second half in January for the spring semester. This is an image of our financial aid award letter. We began posting and notifying students of financial aid award packages for the 24-25 academic year on April 17th. We've received and processed more than 16,000 applications at this point. And so most or many of you have probably heard from us. Again, students can log in to view their financial aid award information in the Connect portal. And you should also be at some point receiving a paper letter in the mail from us, because we do like our paper letters too. So this is an image of what that paper letter looks like, and you can see on the front page of that letter, there is a link to the Connect portal. And then this is an image of the second page of our financial aid award letter. It's broken down into several different sections. The top section shows you any gift aid that you've been awarded or students have been awarded, including grants and scholarships. So this is our free money section. The next section is what is referred to as self-help aid. This is funding that's available to help students pay for their education. It's typically made up of loans and work opportunities. So it either include federal student loans or a California Dream Loan if you're a Dream App filer, parent loan if that's available, or work study if you've been awarded work study. And then this last section on this slide is the cost of attendance section. So when we're awarding financial aid, we use something that's called the total cost of attendance. And the total cost of attendance is any expense that we think a student might incur for one academic year to go to school. This is not the information or the amounts we're going to bill a student for. It includes tuition and fees, which is something we're going to bill students for, but it also includes indirect costs, things that we know you're going to have to pay for and you need to have money to pay for them, like personal expenses, transportation costs to travel home or to and from an off-campus residence to campus, things like that, books and supplies. And then, of course, meals and housing, whether you're living on campus or off campus. The numbers in this section, like I mentioned, are not hard and fast numbers. Most of the categories are estimates. Your tuition and fee amount is what you're going to be billed for. But all of the other sections are not the exact amount or that you may have to pay. So even the costs that are direct costs that the UC Merced will bill you for, what we've used in your cost of attendance is an average of those. So for example, if you're living on campus, we've used an average cost of the different housing and meal options on campus, but where you have a little control in the decision-making process, and what will dictate what you actually are billed is whether you live in a single room or a quad room, whether you pick the most expensive or the least expensive meal plan. And so this is where you as a student have a little bit of control over what the final costs are that you end up paying UC Merced. What you have been awarded and what's on your award letter is what we've awarded your financial aid based on, meaning that you can see in that bottom section that in this example that this is a student who indicated that they'd be living on campus. If you plan on changing your living arrangements, or we've used something that maybe is not correct in awarding your financial aid, you can let us know, but you do need to know that that your financial aid award package will change based off of us changing your living arrangements. So the last section on the back page of our award letter is the direct net cost section. This is where you're going to see an estimate of the direct costs. So for a student living on campus, direct costs are the things that UC Merced will bill you, the student, for. That will be your tuition and fees. It will be any meals and housing if you're living on campus, and the university health insurance unless you complete the waiver process. So that top portion of that section, the estimated direct costs, is a summation of those items from the total cost of attendance. And then we, of course, take away any gift aid, free money, and then that lets you know what that net cost is. That net cost could be positive or negative depending on a particular student's situation, but then will help you determine if you need to borrow or work to earn money to pay the remaining net cost, or maybe savings or some other form of payment. If you choose to accept any of our self-help aids, so the loans in particular, those will also be applied to the student billing account to pay towards the charges that you have been billed for. If the total of your financial aid exceeds the total of the costs that you have been billed for, then you'll receive a refund to help with any other expenses that are included in the total cost of attendance. Just a note that students who are participating or choose to participate in the work study program typically will not have earnings upfront to help with the fall bill, as work study is just an opportunity to get a job and work on campus and earn a paycheck. I'm also going to mention a little bit later, but we do have in more detail, but we do have a deferred payment plan option if that is something that your family is considering. Actual billing statements and charges will be applied to students' accounts after they register for courses, which is typically sometime in late July or early August. Okay, a little bit more about the Connect portal, where you'll access your financial aid information. This is just a screenshot of how to get in. But the Connect portal is where you'll log in. You'll use your UC Merced net ID and password, the same information that you used when you were logging in to view your admissions information. And then once you get logged in, this is the view that you will see. And there's two icons that you're going to use most frequently for financial aid purposes. That is the My Checklist and the My Financial Aid icon. Your My Checklist will have financial aid items that need to be completed and submitted to our office to complete your financial aid, but it will also have a lot of other items. It's a comprehensive and dynamic checklist that we use at UC Merced. Um, I encourage students to check it regularly because, as I mentioned, it is dynamic, and so it will change. I would say the farther we get into the summer, the more often it will change. So it's where you can view your financial aid requirements. And then My Financial Aid is where students can see the detailed information about their financial aid award offer. So this is the landing page where students, when they click the My Financial Aid, this is what they will see. And then of course you can see on the right side that there's several choices. All of those go into the same area of our self-service financial aid tool. But students will be able to see their award offer. They'll be able to see any of the requirements that they need to complete and some additional information and requirements. There are three main items that students will need to complete for financial aid purposes that'll be on their checklist. There will be more than that, but these are three that probably need action sooner than later. Not all students will have all of these, and some students will have none of these. Like I mentioned, the checklist is unique and then dynamic. But just a little bit more information about what students will see. Students who have been selected for verification and need to complete that process will have two requirements. One that states that they've been selected for verification. And if they click on that requirement, it will give them additional information. But they'll also have a requirement to create an account in our system called Student Forms. And it's the system where students will actually log in and complete tasks related to receiving their financial aid. So just another little snippet of what you will see when you're actually logged into the Student Forms account. So once students have created that account, then they'll be able to see the specific tasks that they need to complete. With additional information. As you can see, the little drop down arrow next to the blue bar expands the information and lets students see more details about what they need to do, information about how to complete the process, and then each task has slightly different instructions. So it might be something where you are going to fill out a form online, or it might be that you're going to download a form, complete it, and then re-upload it into our system. Okay, so covered a little bit of the nitty-gritty about how to access financial aid information. And then just now going to dive into the different kind of financial aid that we have at UC Merced. So the University of California has something called the Tuition Stability Plan. And this basically means that once a student ends up enrolling in UC Merced, they will have the same tuition amount every year for up to 6 years. So it essentially holds your tuition amount the same all the way through until you've completed your bachelor's degree. Okay, so how is financial aid determined? We talked about the estimated or total cost of attendance. That's the initial number that we use, and that number is determined based off of your living arrangement. So whether you're living on campus or off campus, or maybe you're living at home because you're from the local area. And it takes into consideration tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses, and health insurance if you choose to purchase the university health insurance. And then we take away from that the expected family contribution or student aid index. which is calculated using either the FAFSA or the CATA application. Includes a lot of different information, but some of the primary factors are income, number in household, assets, things like that. And then what's left after we take the total cost of attendance and we take away the student aid index, then we're left with financial need. And that financial need will allow us to determine how much need-based or non-need-based financial aid a student is eligible for. Okay, so some of the different types of financial aid that we administer at UC Merced. We administer and coordinate federal, state, and institutional financial aid. The federal financial aid that we administer from free money or gift aid, grant aid, scholarship aid. There's different terminology that you'll hear people use, but gift aid is probably one of the most common. And essentially it just means it's free money. From the federal government, we administer the Pell Grant program, which is typically awarded to the neediest students. It can be up to $7,395 per academic year, and students can receive it for up to 6 years. We also award the federal SEOG grant, which is a very limited funding and is awarded to the neediest students. We also administer state financial aid, and through the state of California, there are several programs. The Cal Grant is the biggest grant program, and it provides fee coverage for students who meet the criteria. The California Student Aid Commission provides us with a roster of students who are eligible, and eligibility is determined based off of the FAFSA and the GPA verification that students provide to the California Student Aid Commission. And as long as our school code is listed on your FAFSA or your DREAM application, then those things will meet up and we will get notified. You'll end up on that roster of students that are eligible, and we will incorporate that into your financial aid package at UC Merced. We also administer and receive information from the state for students that are eligible for the middle class scholarship. This program was intended to assist household, like median income households, students with an income up to, or families with an income up to $226,000 per year can be eligible. But again, we coordinate that eligibility with the state. For both of those programs, students need to be California residents. And they need to have filed a FAFSA or a DREAM application by the May 2nd priority deadline. So I know that's coming up, but it's going to be important that if you haven't, that you get the application filed by May 2nd. At the University of California, we have a promise that for families who have an income below $80,000 per year, that we will cover in-state tuition and fees for California residents with some kind of free money. So for many of our students, this is already included in your financial aid package because it's in the form of perhaps a Cal grant, or maybe you were awarded a Bobcat grant. But it's just a promise that you'll have at least the tuition and student service fee portion of your tuition and fee costs covered by some kind of free money. Likewise, we also have a newer program. It's the Native American Opportunity Plan. And it's very similar to Blue and Gold. It's a guarantee that we will cover the in-state tuition and fees for California resident students that are from a federally recognized Native American, American Indian, or Alaska Native tribe. And students who we have identified as potentially eligible should have a list, an item on their checklist to go through that verification process and complete that. If you believe that you meet the eligibility criteria and you or your student don't see that item on their checklist, then you can contact us and we'll add that so that you can go through that verification process. So another type of financial aid that we award, I talked about it a little bit when we were talking about the backside of the financial aid award letter, is our self-help aid. This is made up of loans and work opportunity. So at UC Merced, we have a federal work study program where students can work up to 18 hours per week. They receive a paycheck every 2 weeks, just like a normal job. And they can work and earn up to the amount of their work study award that financial aid awarded. We also have several student loan options for FAFSA filers. We have the federal student loans and the Parent Plus loan that are available to students and parents to borrow to assist with the educational expenses. Those programs are, they have a fixed interest rate that changes every year on July 1st. So we don't have the interest rates yet for that will go into effect July 1st, 2024, but you can see what it was here for 2023. Okay, health insurance. So I mentioned earlier that there's a UC student health insurance plan that is mandatory. However, you can waive out if you or your parents have comparable health insurance coverage. Then you may be able to waive out of the UC Merced health insurance plan. The information about the waiver process should be on your checklist. The waiver did open yesterday, and it does close July 29th. It's really important that you complete that waiver during that period of time. If you are not planning to purchase the university health insurance, especially if you or your parents are already paying for health insurance, it really can be an extra expense that's not necessary. And then there is more information about the UC health insurance at those the links on the screen. Okay, appeals and special circumstances. So I mentioned just a minute ago that May 2nd is the priority deadline for completing, submitting the FAFSA or the CATA. And it's really important that if you can meet those deadlines that you do. I acknowledge that there are groups of students that are still having some challenges successfully submitting. And we have some tips and tricks perhaps that might help students. We also have some content on our website about the application process this year and some of those tips and tricks. And we certainly are available to assist students. If you, however, miss the May 2nd deadline for some reason, and you want to be considered for all the financial aid you could possibly be considered for, we do have an appeal. It's called our on-time status appeal. It works either for students that miss the May 2nd or June 1st document deadline. Students can submit it one time during their career at UC Merced, and it opens July 1st. And more information is on our website at that link that you can see. We also have two processes to recognize that sometimes the information that you've reported on a FAFSA or a CATA is incorrect or is out of date. Income that's being reported for 24-25 is from the 2022 calendar year. And we understand that things change. People, you might have had a job change or a job loss or some other thing has changed in your situation. And so students and parents can complete the special circumstance appeal process to tell us about that change, so that we can consider using that information instead of the 2022 information that is less accurate than what is happening for you right now. New in the 24-25 academic year is also a process called an unusual circumstance appeal. Students who have an adverse home situation or unable to obtain parental information for their financial aid application can go through this process. There's additional information at the link there. And so there is a process for us to work with students in those situations. Okay, so verification. Some of you may be selected for a process called verification. The federal student aid does randomly select a number of applicants every year to have their financially, to have the information that they submitted on their FAFSA or their DREAM application verified. Essentially what it means is that we're just going to ask you for documentation, and we're going to compare that documentation to the information that you put. And if anything needs to be updated or changed because it, was inaccurate or maybe something got missed, then we'll use that documentation to update the application. If you were selected for verification, you won't be able to make any changes to your financial aid package or, accept or decline anything until we've completed that process. And that review process can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks when we're in our very heavy processing season, which is this summer. So if you've been selected for verification, I strongly encourage you to start to complete those requirements or tasks. I mentioned student forms earlier. Those tasks will be in our student forms account. And so get that process rolling right away. Okay, so just some information about times or reasons why financial aid awards might be revised. If information has to be corrected on your FAFSA or your CATA data because of the verification process we just talked about, you're not eligible for UC health insurance plan, and so that potentially could or you're not eligible to waive out. The impact of that means that you may be eligible for additional financial aid depending on the situation. Another reason why your financial aid might change is if you submit a special circumstance appeal or an unusual circumstance appeal. If you receive some kind of outside financial aid, like maybe you were awarded a scholarship through your high school, when we receive that information, then we have to incorporate it into your financial aid package, and then that may change the awards that you have. Changes in your living arrangements. So if we've awarded you financial aid based off of you living on campus, which is typically what we do for most first-year students, and we determine that you're not actually going to be living on campus, then we will make adjustments to your award package. Typically, you'll see a change in your Bobcat grant in those situations. Okay. I want to share a little bit about a tool that we have called the Direct Cost Worksheet. If you're trying to determine your family situation, and maybe you're trying to determine if you need to borrow some of the loans that we've offered you, the direct cost worksheet can help walk you through. It is behind login, so the student will have to log in with their UCM Net ID and password. It will pre-fill with some information. It'll pre-fill with your direct costs. So we talked earlier about direct costs. This would be the tuition and student service fees, and any campus fees that student is being charged for. It will include the estimated meal and housing charge, and then the health insurance if you haven't waived out. All of those things will be estimates for now based off of the total cost of attendance. If you go in and you were to use the direct cost worksheet right now, they will be more exact later in the summer. So after student billing services bills you for, so you register, they bill you for your fees, and housing charges you for your room and your meals. And maybe you don't waive out of the health insurance, though then the amounts after all of that has occurred, after the billing has occurred, the amounts will be the exact charges that are on your student billing account. But for now, they're estimates based off of that total cost of attendance. And then we also pre-fill any of the free money that you have been awarded into that middle section of the gift aid credits. And then the bottom section allows you to determine how much, or if you want to borrow loans to help pay for the maybe the remaining balance that's potentially going to be on your account. So when you go through the worksheet, the bottom section where it says credit balance due or refund amount, if the number is in red, that's a balance that's going to be expected to be paid. If it's green, that means a refund that's due to the student. All of the fields on this worksheet can be manipulated manually. So just be careful if you're playing with it, that you understand that if you've changed something, it could affect that whole calculation process. Okay, I wanted to share about a resource that we have on campus, our Financial Wellness Center. The center provides one-on-one coaching sessions with students on topics like personal budgeting, credit scores, salary negotiation, student loan repayment. They'll work on helping a student create a plan for creating an emergency savings account, or how to handle it, coaching how to handle a financial crisis. It's a very awesome resource, and I really encourage students to take advantage of it. Don't wait and use it only in a crisis or in an emergency. It's a great tool for students to try to avoid that scenario and be prepared. Those coaching options are just a really great resource. Okay, I mentioned earlier that an option, if maybe you are a family that has a balance remaining that you don't want to borrow, or you don't have the savings to pay for an entire semester, there is a payment plan on campus. It's called the Deferred Payment Plan that students and parents can sign up for. You can enroll in the DPP online. It typically opens August 1st. And what will happen is it will take the balance for the term at the time that you sign up and split it into 4 monthly payments. So it splits it up into, by 25%. So, and then there's a $40 fee for participation. So when you go to sign up, you'll have to pay the $40 fee, and you'll have to pay the first month of the 4 monthly payments. But it is a great option, again, if you didn't want to borrow or you weren't prepared to pay out of pocket the full account balance. A little bit more about resources. So our financial aid website is a really great resource. If you haven't visited, it has a lot of information on it. Most everything that I've covered tonight is found somewhere on one of our pages. A number of our pages are also translated to Spanish. So if Spanish, having some of the content in Spanish is helpful, for you and or your parent, you can find that information translated there as well. The other thing that's not on this screenshot that is a great resource is we do have social media accounts. The information is on the bottom of our home page, and helpful. We post information updates, reminders, all kinds of things on our different social media platforms. So it might be a helpful resource to connect with us there. Oh, I mentioned the Spanish, so you can see that if you're looking for the content in Spanish, this is where you would see it. Okay, I did want to mention one thing in particular at the end here is that we did receive some updated information today from federal student aid that if you are a family if you are a mixed status family, so if you are a student who has a parent without a social security number, there's some relief that has become available to make that completion process easier. We are haven't had a chance yet because it came out today, but there will be information posted on our website, but there's also information posted on the admissions website. You can see the link at the bottom of the page so you can see more detailed information. But we are really hopeful that in the next couple of days, more of our students and their families can successfully submit in some of those tough situations that we've been seeing lately. Just a few reminders about important upcoming dates and deadlines. May 15th is the statement of intent to register deadline for first year students and June 1st for transfer students. The SLR or statement of legal residence, which is also a requirement that would be on your checklist if you need to complete it. The deadline for first year students is May 20th and the date for transfer students is June 5th. Mentioned earlier, but May 2nd is the priority deadline for financial aid applications. And then June 1st is our deadline for any of the items that are listed on your checklist. Housing applications for first year students are due by May 19th and transfer students are June 6th. We already saw Bobcat Day. Hope you all got to join us for Bobcat Day. And then new student orientation registration is open now and will be open through June 12th. And those are the dates. All the dates are in July. And then mentioned health insurance waiver opened yesterday and will close at the end of July as well. And then lastly, our fee payment deadline for fall semester is August 21st.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Perry. I'm the director of our Students First Center. And something unique to UC Merced is that we offer a one-stop shop for getting questions to many of the topics that you're inquiring about tonight. And I wanted to let you know that the best place to start if you have questions about attending UC Merced is our Students First Center. And our friends have graciously put that information on our contact page right here. So you can choose how you want to interact with us. You can call us, you can email us, you can chat with us. We also have appointments and a Zoom drop-in. And many of the questions that I keep seeing come up in the chat tonight, if you don't get them answered this evening, you are more than welcome to call us tomorrow or set up an appointment with us tomorrow. And we are happy to guide you through your next steps. Heather showed the direct cost worksheet tonight, and personally, I feel that is one of your best resources when you're first entering UC Merced to figure out how much you might either need to borrow or pay out of pocket or set up for a payment plan when preparing to attend UC Merced this upcoming fall. And we are also happy to help kind of guide you through that worksheet. So our staff as a one-stop are cross-trained in admissions, financial aid, registration, and billing. And we are typically your first point of contact, but if there's something that we can't answer because it's a highly specialized question, then we're going to work on a referral system with a financial aid advisor or an admissions counselor to get you directly to the person that you need to talk to. So our goal at UC Merced is that you don't need to know how to navigate our infrastructure, that you are contacting one place and that we're getting you to the right person that you need to talk to. So I think I've posted our contact information a couple of times tonight, but we'll post it again in the chat, and it's right here on that QR code. So we look forward to talking to you, and please come visit us whenever you're ready. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Hello, everyone. I am back with you, Ricky Hill, the e-recruiter here, and it is my job to give you more information about some other fun upcoming events. So, of course, as Heather said, we just got beyond Bobcat Day, but guess what? If you didn't have a chance to join us on that wonderful day, we have another one coming up for you. Now, it's not exactly Bobcat Day. It's only about a half day long, and that information is right there on your screen. It is called Spotlight UC Merced. It is coming up in just a couple of days on Saturday, so make sure that you do take a look to get yourself registered for that. You'll be able to get all of your questions answered. Of course, we will have all of our content experts there from admissions, financial aid. You can ask questions about majors and minors and all of our academic programs, housing, of course, dining services, everything that you may have under the sun to ask us about becoming a Bobcat and doing your statement of intent to register, all of the financial aid topics that we're discussing tonight. If you have something more specific or just you want to follow up on something, we will be there for you to get to those questions in person. Another event that is coming up, of course, we do have a couple more virtual events like this one. So hop over to the Admitted website. We will drop that over into the chat box for you again. That's where you will also find all of the on-demand instant replays, but we do have another event coming up, and that's the one that you see at the bottom of your screen now on May 1st, which is tomorrow, and it has to do with securing your housing to prepare for the fall of 2024, which is right around the corner. So we hope to see you there. And of course, there is also that QR code on your screen, and that will take you directly over to that events page on the Admitted website for UC Merced. And we hope to see you again at one of these upcoming events. Now, while I have your attention here, we do also have another slide to share with you about the Bobcat Den. Now, have you heard of this yet? Because you should have received an email already about this. And basically everything's on the screen now, but it is for students. It is for parents. It's a place, again, where you can reach out to us in a social platform, social media type platform to get your questions answered. So as if you couldn't tell, we are getting to those questions tonight, but we want to make sure that you have every opportunity to reach out to us. So if it's not during business hours, you can't come to campus, you have this opportunity as well. So also don't forget, you'll be able to use the Bobcat Den not only to explore more information about UC Merced, but you will also be able to start connecting with other Bobcats who are coming in the fall as well. So why not start building that Bobcat bond, making some new friends before you even step foot on campus and move in during the fall semester coming up in August. Thank you so much for listening to us tonight. We do have some time now for some question and answers. So if you guys want to go ahead, and I know we have quite a few that are coming up here in our Q&A, but let me go ahead and just take a peek and see what we have coming up here. Oh, so Heather, one that's been trending throughout the Q&A throughout this past hour has to do with the blue and gold plan. So would you be able to talk a bit about that and maybe kind of generally touch on that? We've had questions pretty much asking, what is it? How do I know if I've received it? How much is it? And what does it cover?
Yep, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, it's just our guarantee that we will cover your in-state tuition and student service fees with some kind of free money. You most likely will not see anything called Blue and Gold Plan. Probably the majority of you have that promise met with a Cal Grant. If you aren't a Cal Grant recipient or you don't see that award, it could be or probably will be met with a combination of Pell Grant and Bobcat Grant. But again, it's just any kind of free money. So grants or scholarships that you've been awarded up to that cost for in-state tuition and student service fees.
Very good. And then is the Bobcat grant, is that automatically renewable every year?
Unfortunately, most financial aid is not automatically renewable. Financial aid is an annual process, so you'll need to complete an application, whether it's a FAFSA or CATA, every year. Typically, in a normal year, that priority deadline is actually March 2nd, not May 2nd. So continuing students will need to complete the application and submit it by March 2nd. We do send lots of reminder information to our continuing students, letting them know that applications are open and available and that they need to submit. So annual process, you will need to reapply for all of our financial aid every year.
And then we also touched on the special circumstance appeal. And so we've had some folks asking if there's a specific deadline when they need to submit that by.
No, there isn't a deadline, but our processing time is about 4 to 6 weeks for those appeals. So the earlier you get them in, the earlier you'll get the information. So if that information is important for you to have in place prior to the start of fall semester, I would encourage you to start to submit them ASAP.
Very good. And then a couple of questions have come in regarding student loans. So if someone, let's say right now, they're looking at their financial aid package, or maybe it's over summer and they say, hey, you know what, I'm going to accept everything. I think I may need these loans. But then they pay everything and they realize I actually don't need the loans. How do they make sure that they don't end up getting that money and having to pay it back?
Yeah. So if you decide to borrow a loan, you finish all of the process to borrow, but then you determine maybe after the start of the semester that you don't actually need the money, you can notify us. We have, I think it's 120 days from the time that we have dispersed the funds to you that you can tell us that you no longer want the loans, and then we will cancel them and return them to the federal student aid on your behalf. So, yep, not a binding contract for quite a while.
Very good. And then do student loans or parent loans, do they have fixed interest rates?
Yep, all of the loans through federal student aid have fixed interest rates. Like I mentioned, I don't have the rates haven't been released yet for loans that are borrowed after July 1st, which will be any loan for the 24-25 academic year. But their cap, I believe the parent loan is capped at like 8.5%. And student loans are capped somewhere below that. So interest rates don't get super high, and they're probably the highest that we've seen them right now. I don't anticipate that they will go up. If they do, it won't be very much this summer. In fact, they might go down.
Very good. And now we've also had kind of another trending question. If someone has made changes and updates to their FAFSA, is that going to delay their award, or will they get a new package created?
Yeah, so anytime you make changes to your financial aid application, we will get a new copy of it from federal student aid or from the California Student Aid Commission if it was a CATA application, and we will review that information and make a determination about whether or not we should use that information. Typically we do, but like sometimes we can see that students made an error, and so we don't want to update your financial aid if the application has an error on it. But we will revise financial aid anytime we receive a new application for a student.
Perfect. And then what if someone initially didn't think they would need any type of financial aid for on-campus housing, but now they've changed their plans? How do they go about letting you know to see if that impacts their aid?
Sure. So we actually award all incoming first-year students based off of an assumption that you're going to be living on campus, because the majority of our first-year students do live on campus. So check your financial aid information. It's likely that we've already made that assumption. If when you look at your financial aid information and you see that we didn't award it based off of living on campus, then we actually have an automated process over the summer where we get information from the housing office. They'll tell us, here's everybody who's living on campus, and we will go in and we will automatically make updates and revise the award package to reflect that a student is living on campus. And then vice versa too, right? So if you decide not to live on campus, then typically starting in late May, early June, we will make those adjustments either direction, on campus to off campus or off campus to on campus, depending on the information we receive from the housing office.
Perfect. And then I have a couple questions. I know we're getting close here. We're right at the top of the hour, but let's squeeze in a few more about summer. So does financial aid cover any type of summer bridge or summer coursework?
Yeah, financial aid is available for summer enrollment. Students who are incoming first year or transfer students who are interested in taking classes this summer, so summer of 24, will actually need to go in and complete a 23-24 FAFSA or CATA application. So you'll need to complete the prior year, because summer for us is part of the current academic year. So if you're planning on enrolling in summer and you'd like to receive financial aid for summer of 24, then you need to go complete the 23-24 version of the FAFSA or CATA.
Perfect. And for summer, do we have available for students the federal work study as an option for their aid?
Work study is not available in the summer for any students. Work study is only from August to May.
Okay, very good. And then one last question, I think here. So this person's letting us know that they do see numbers on their UC Merced Connect Financial Aid Award offer page. And they're wondering if those numbers are completely final right now, or if there's a chance that those may change and when maybe they can expect them to be final.
Yeah, so they're final for now. Financial aid is always subject to change. I shared in that slide, like halfway through the presentation, some of the reasons why financial aid might change. It is your offer for right now, unless we receive some kind of additional or different information about you and or your situation, right? So like, if we didn't include a Cal grant, but then we receive information from California Student Aid Commission that you have a Cal grant, then we're going to redo your package to reflect that that Cal grant. And so other things might change to incorporate that Cal grant into your package. If you're a student who we verify isn't living on campus, but we had awarded you for on campus, then likely when we change you to reflect the off-campus living, you may your Bobcat grant might go away. So aid is always subject to change based off of receiving additional or different information about you and your particular situation.
Very good. Thanks so much, Heather. And Lisa, I know you hopped back on. You had some more information to share?
Well, I'm not going to share the information, but I'm going to prompt Heather to share the information. We have a lot of questions coming in about making corrections to the FAFSA. Can you give people an update real quick on the status of that?
Yeah, so the process to make corrections is open to anyone and everyone at this point. I would strongly suggest that you go in and do it as soon as possible, because again, we just want to get you updated information as quickly as possible. It typically takes about 1 to 3 business days for us to receive that new FAFSA or CATA application that reflects the changes that you made. And then it can take us about 3 to 5 business days to process that update. So typical timeline from the time you make a change to your application is about 7 to 10 business days.
Very good. Thank you both so much. If there's any last words that either of you would want to share? No, we've covered a lot.
I would just strongly urge you, if you haven't successfully submitted an application at this point, that it is a priority for you over the next couple of days. If you need assistance, contact us, contact the Students First Center, and we'll do what we can to walk you through the process, or share any tips or tricks we have figured out. Pay attention to your email. The admissions office is sending information periodically out about financial aid. Today's email reminder about the webinar did include some additional information. Some of that information I had on the slide for mixed status families in particular. They did share in that email. I think the biggest thing is, even if it's messy, try to get the application submitted by the May 2nd deadline. You may have to go back in, like Lisa said a minute ago, you might have to go back in and make corrections later. One of the tips that I would say we are sharing with students right now is, if you're in a tough spot and you need to just get submitted so that you can capture the May 2nd deadline, is students can put on their application that they want to just receive unsub only, and that parents aren't unsubsidized loan only, and that parents aren't going to contribute. That's a question on the application. When you answer that, then it actually bypasses the parent data information. And so for students who are having some challenges with the federal student aid ID process, that's a way to get the application initially submitted. Just know you need to go back in and make corrections, or we will ask you for the information also.
Very good. Lisa, did you have any last words? I did just drop over into chat the contact information for Students First Center as well.
I think that's my number one tip, is if you have questions that were answered tonight, please call us tomorrow or jump on our Zoom appointments. We are here to help, and we're ready to answer questions. And I see lots of them coming in that we're probably not going to get to. So contact us tomorrow.
Very good. Thank you again to both of my colleagues here who have been on screen, and everyone that's been behind the scenes answering questions. We got through several hundred, so thank you all so much for sending those in, and for the staff for getting back to those. Of course, Student First Center information is in the chat box, so go ahead and click on that page. That'll give you all the wonderful ways that they make themselves available to you, even at different hours. So it's not just 8 to 5. So take a look over there and see what works best for you. Couple quick announcements and reminders. Your SIR deadline, that is statement of intent to register. If you are a first-year student, May 15th is a very significant and important day for you. And if you are a transfer student, June the 1st is your deadline. So make sure, if you plan to become a Bobcat and join the Bobcat family here at UC Merced as a incoming student this fall of 2024, make sure you submit that statement of intent to register by your specific deadline, but there's no need to wait. You can do that tonight. So go ahead and take a look there. We do have a website we'll drop for you over into the chat box as well. Also, don't forget, this coming up Saturday in just a couple of days, we have Spotlight UC Merced. You can get all of your questions answered in case you have a couple of follow-ups. And we also have an admitted student website for next steps. That's also a great page to bookmark. It will take you all the way through summer, from now all the way until the first day of instruction, giving you all of these important dates and deadlines. So you definitely do not want to miss out on that website. You can go ahead and get that saved. Don't forget, we also offer campus tours every single day. So that website will also be dropped into the chat for one last click before we log off here. Once again, a big thank you. These are always so much fun, and I hope that you got all of your information tonight through that wonderful presentation. If you'd like to watch it as an on-demand instant replay, we will have that up for you in just a couple of days on that admitted website as well. My name is Ricky Hill, your e-recruiter, and I hope to see you either this Saturday or again on another virtual event. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful night.